Let me tell you guys, you're in for a real treat today.
Hey guys, just before we get into the video, I just want to say that 99% of you who watch my videos aren't subscribed. So please subscribe and let's get into the video.
Last time on Mindtest modding tutorials.
Okay, so last time we, well, Monday, we created a mod, I think it was. No, it was last week. At any rate, we created a mod called MyMod, unless you change the name. And in this folder, we put 3 things. One of them was init.lua, which is critical to the running of your mod. Another one is mod.config, which basically covers general configuration and integration with the rest of the mods. Mindtest uses that. And then textures, which is just a folder. It's a folder, not a file, folder with some pictures inside. So let's take a look real quick at init.lua. The init.lua started with this. And basically, it printed something out to the command line, which you don't get to see yet. Hopefully in the future, and then it accessed the Mindtest API table, which basically gives us access to this tool here, register_node, which when we plug in the right stuff, which is a name, a description, an image to go on the sides or a skin, properties. Once we assign the right things to this node using this tool, it will add a node to the game. And if we do it correctly. Now, this is not quite right because this was part of the second lesson. The second lesson had us actually add, some Lua script. So we all knew what an if statement was. We tried to remember, right, at least what an if statement was. And this caused the picture, the text on our cube to change randomly when you loaded the game. How does that work? Firstly, we created a random number. So it's random, between 1 and 100. So it could be 43, could be 98, right? We initialized some random texture, just a string. It's just a string with a name. The game knows it as just text. That's all it knows. It doesn't think of it as a picture, it just sees it as text. Okay, we then check, is that number higher than 50 or lower than 50? If it's higher, then assign this text. That text looks familiar. It looks like it's referencing a picture. Yeah, but it's just text. That's all. The computer only knows it as text. If it's less than 50, assign this text. Yay. Now we went down here and in register node, we actually put that variable. That variable holds text. And so, depending on what that variable is holding, it'll reference a different picture. So that's all we did. I just wanted to show you how we can program like normal in a mod, just like we always have been doing, adding if statements and whatnot and functions. Just like normal. However, it has to be done outside of these API references. So this is a Mindtest API reference. And that is how we integrate with the rest of the game. You don't have to have these API references, but in that case, I don't know that your mod would actually even do anything in the game. That brings us up to today. We're going to go to chapter 2, Lua scripting. Scroll down. So we had made it up to this section called selection. And then we're going to blow past the logical operators. That's just talking about, like, how are you testing things? Are you seeing if they're the same? For instance, we used a logical operator here, which just tested to see if it was greater. All right, so then we'd scroll down, and stop at here, local and global. This is very important. Although it might sound a little daunting, don't be scared. Basically, you need to put local when you initialize. The first time that you introduce the program to your variable, you have to write local first. You have to. Brief explanation. Variables. It's a little cubby hole, right? It's a little spot on the shelf. And so if two mods were to create a variable name that was the same name, that would be a problem because one mod is needing to store some other value. You're wanting to store some other values, and those values conflict. The program breaks down. It dies. So we have to say, hey, this shelf over here is for my mod. This shelf over here is for your mod. So we can both have the same variable, random texture. We can have that box on our shelf, random texture, but it is exclusive to my mod over here, and this one does not cross. It does not cross over. Now, globals are different. Globals are like, I don't know how to analogize, but the box is accessible from either mod. So it's like a box sitting right in between the two shelves. They both use it. So they can both stick variables into it. So this box has to be designed in such a way, or just thought has to be put into it in such a way so that there's not conflicts going on. And the way that you accomplish this is by using your mod name. Mod names are every mod that you add to your Minetest game is unique. It is if it weren't, then your mods would be conflicting, right? So the mod that we're creating has the name my mods. And so what you would do is you would create a variable in your mod called my mod. And this is briefly explained here at the bottom in this right here. And they call it an API table. Interesting. It's interesting to note that they've got a period here. We've seen that syntax before, and I'll show you in just a second. But we've created a global, so we did not write local in front of function. We created a global variable called myMod, and then inside of that table, we've put foo. So it's like here we have this box with a bunch of cubby holes, and this cubby hole, or this cubby hole, we have written on top foo. And then if another mod wants to use foo, specifically the foo from my mod, they would say mymod.foo. And fantastic. This is incredibly important because what do you know? I see a little period there. Interesting. Well, Minetest is following its own rules. They created a master mod called Minetest. And this is, from what I understand, a master mod called Minetest. And it has inside of there various different tools that you can use, or cubbies. And those cubbies have names. And we want to access that cubbyhole. And so we do so by typing Minetest, which is the global variable, dot register node. Okay. Again, making a variable local, you simply write local in front of it, and that needs to be done for every single variable that you create in your in your script. Other than, and we won't need to do this yet and really might not ever, but every variable other than your global variable. Okay, so that was quite a bit to take in. For your assignment, what I want you to do is in a creative media, or medium, I don't know, write out in your own words again the definition for local and global, the difference between local and global variables. What's the difference? Creative medium, go. Something to look forward to. Next week we're going to be moving on to chapter 3. And chapter 3 is a lot of fun. We actually get into a little breakdown here. We get into changing up the properties of a node and other things like that. I haven't quite read over it yet, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Trust me.